So I'm back again to talk about the modules, and as I said earlier, this is the introductory week right now. From Monday onwards, we will be in week 1. So at some point on Monday, I will be opening up module 1 for you in the Mighty Network dashboard. I'm going to call it the dashboard, where you go and you see the list of modules and all your work sets, called the dashboard, okay? So just to go through each of the modules then, for you to have a little bit more information. The first week, we're going to be looking at what is good emotional and mental wellness. Now, that might sound like a pretty, what's she going on about? Obvious, a question with an obvious answer. Well, I just feel all right, But actually, it's really important when we're doing things like this that we actually define quite clearly what it is we mean by certain things, because any of us who have experienced the vast array of emotional states that there are to varying degrees will know that when we're talking about emotions or our psychology, our thinking, and wellness, those terms are quite vague. So we need to sort of knuckle down a little bit what we mean by those and come up with some kind of a definition. So during that week, you will be able to start to understand what is good emotional and mental wellness. So we'll do that by discussing it. You will also have an activity where you describe what is good emotional and mental wellness for you, and also be able to explain to others what it means, what it means generally. I guess we can come up with a little definition and what it means for you. Also, we'll be looking at identifying factors that might affect emotional and mental wellness. So then we'll be looking at discussing what affects our own emotional wellness, what might affect other people's, and also beginning to identify when our peers, our friends, our colleagues, our family might be experiencing challenges with that. So throughout this course, again, those of you who have worked with me before will know that we don't just look at theory, okay? We do a little bit of the theoretical stuff at this level, but this is an experiential group. So we'll be all incorporating our lived experience, and that includes me as well. So although I'm your facilitator on some days and your tutor or teacher on other days, I also put myself in there as well, because when we are doing kind of peer work, peer coaching, peer mentoring, peer listening, whatever it is, we're assuming that we all have a shared understanding of the similar experiences that we might have had to each other. The next module is called the essential needs that are required for adaptation. Okay, so you might be thinking, what on earth is she going on about? So the basis of that is that we have essential needs. Humans have essential needs that need to be met, otherwise we suffer. And what we usually find is that when we're experiencing some kind of anxiety, low mood, what you might or other people might term, emotional and mental health challenges, always you will find that there is some kind of emotional need that hasn't been met, or isn't being met, or some need that's affecting our emotional state. So anyone who's experiencing those challenges will find that there are always unmet needs. Now, that's not to say that unmet needs are the only thing that impacts us, but if you are feeling off, then there will certainly be some unmet needs in there. So we're going to learn about all the needs. We're going to learn that there are 5 domains of health, the 5 essential domains of life and health, which are the physical domain, the emotional domain, the mental or psychological, I use those words interchangeably domain, the social domain, and the spiritual domain. So in that module, we'll be actually going through one of the activities that we do with peers when we're doing peer coaching, peer mentoring, that sort of thing, which we'll do that on ourselves. And again, I'll do it as well. I don't expect you to do anything that I wouldn't do or that I don't do. And I use these tools in my own life all the time. Okay. So we'll gain an understanding of what those are by doing those activities ourselves. Then the next one is called Demystifying the Causes of Emotional and Mental Health Challenges, Aligning with the SHAPE model. And that probably sounds like a whole load of gobbledygook. So demystifying means that we are basically going to look at some of the myths that surround what emotional and mental health is and what emotional and mental health challenges are, okay? And we're going to look at what contemporary current research tells us about the causes of emotional and mental health challenges. And some of that, if you've worked with me again, you may have an understanding of that. Some of that might be new to you. But we're very clear now about the impact of things like trauma and life stress on our emotional and mental wellness, as in the research is very clear about that. SHAPE is an acronym for something that we call the basic elements of peer support. And I don't want to spoil the surprise right now, but we will go into what those actually are. The word SHAPE spells out a list of items that we feel forms the basic elements of peer support. So that means how we help each other. All right. The next module 4 is called the Purposeful Health Model, and this we start off with a comparison of some of the different models of health support that there have been over the last kind of 50 years. We look at what we call the medical model or the treatment model. We look at the recovery model, which has been in vogue for quite a few decades now. And then we look at the one that we've created, which is called the Purposeful Health Model. And we, as I say, I'm not going to go into the details of what that is now because this is just a brief outline, and explaining the Purposeful Health Model is not a brief thing to do. So we're going to look at that in some detail because that's going to form the basis of the whole approach. So assuming that some of you might want to go on to help others in the community, or you may certainly want to be useful to your friends and your family, the Purposeful Health Model kind of underpins the way that we're going to work with people and their health. All right. And within that module, we're going to also be getting a bit more clarity about what peer support actually means and understanding the peer approach to helping people with challenges. Then module number 5 is called Supporting Family, Friends, the Wider Community and Taking Care of Ourselves. Okay, so this is where, although we're going to do practical activities throughout all of this, obviously, this is the point at which in week 5, we're actually going to be starting to look at how this all actually applies to helping others in the community. And actually that really starts with taking care of ourselves. Okay, now we will have done some of looking at that when we were looking at the essential needs and the SHAPE model and things like that. But at this point, we are going to understand, when you're sat down with somebody who's finding things really tough, you're going to start to get some of these tools together and find out exactly what it is that you're going to be doing with these people, what you might say to them, how you might communicate with them, and that type of thing. We'll be looking at things like group and individual privacy and confidentiality, looking at sample care plans, how you might put something together to enable somebody to look after themselves better with your support. All right, and then module 6 is called the Introduction to the HITAP. Okay, cycle of adaptation and other tools. Again, this is going to sound like gobbledygook probably. The HITAP is something that we call the Healthy Intentions to Action Plan. So we're going to look at, okay, how can we learn to set healthy intentions, or you might want to call them goals. I'll explain some of the difference within that terminology. How to set healthy goals and intentions for yourself, and then the fundamental bit, which is taking action, and it's often the bit that people forget. Okay, so we might have wonderful ideas about what we want to do, but then it's actually moving across that gap, okay, which is between intention and action, and for some people that can be quite a big leap. So we have to understand how to support people through that, and also ourselves, because you know, we all come across these obstacles in our lives, don't we? So the cycle of adaptation is a change and motivation model, which shows us some of the stages that we go through when change is happening in our lives, or when we want to make a change. Okay, and we're going to look at some things in our own lives and relate it to that cycle of adaptation to get more of an understanding of what it actually is and what it means. And then it says other tools. So we will be perhaps pulling together some other tools, maybe the tools that I use. I'll also ask you to either, you know, talk about tools that you already use that are out there, and maybe research some tools that you think might be useful. Maybe it's from a book that you've read, self-help books or something like that, and you know, start to gather together a little, almost like a little resource pack of tools and techniques and information that you can use to help yourself and help others as well, and do those with other people. So that's it, kind of in a nutshell. If I would, you know, at this stage, I wouldn't, you know, in a way, I almost want you to forget this video, okay? This was more to give you some notion. Sometimes I often have people who sort of want to have a little bit of a visual map of where we're actually going. So that's all it's for, really. I want us to just focus on 1 week at a time and not get too far ahead of ourselves. So if there's something that you think, oh, I don't understand such and such about week 4 now, I just want you to forget about it, all right? Because I've written this course in the order which takes us naturally through these different modules and these different processes. So it's done that way for a reason. So we're going to only focus on the week that we're in. All right, I will do another quick video, a separate video again, which will be talking about what's expected of you in this course and what you can expect from me.